I have the Midas touch. All I have to do is sit in an office and deals start rolling in. The vice president treated me like a queen. Terrified, I jumped ship. But then the CEO's childhood sweetheart parachuted into the company, taking the VP's job. She stormed up to my desk, picked up her coffee and dumped it over my head. It's working hours. Who gave you permission to nap? It's because of corporate parasites like you that this company is failing. Your bonus for this month is gone. And I want a 5,000-word self-criticism on my desk by tomorrow morning. I stared at her, utterly bewildered. The whole situation was absurd. I was tired, because I'd spent all night closing a $10 million deal. My manager had specifically told me to catch a nap during the day if I needed it. I hadn't even been asleep for 2 minutes. And now I was being branded a parasite. Before I could even form a defense, she had already clicked away on her high heels. My manager, Mark, hurried over, his face etched with sympathy. Aria, that's the future Mrs. CEO. She has a thing against pretty girls. I'm afraid things are about to get rough for you. So that was it. Well, that made things simple. I just leave. I had plenty of other companies trying to headhunt me. This one wouldn't be a loss. Moment I got home, I contacted the CEO of Hudson Corporation. They had previously offered me a 7-figure salary, but I turned them down out of loyalty to the vice president, who had mentored me. Now that she was gone and this lunatic was in charge, it was time to get out. I sent a message and got an immediate reply. Handle your transition. You start next month. I'll add another $50,000 to your original offer. I look forward to working with you. My reputation as a business magnate wasn't just talk. I'd first joined this company. It was a second-rate firm that couldn't land a major contract to save its life. After I arrived, not only did the deals start pouring in, but investors came knocking, too. But on any day I took off, the company couldn't close a single deal. The former VP, Miss Miller, had even half-jokingly consulted a fortune teller, who told her I had the Midas touch better than any lucky charm. She did everything in her power to keep me, practically chaining me to my desk. Unfortunately, she couldn't fight the powers that be. A parachute promotion pushed her out. I walked up to Stella's office with my resignation letter in hand. She didn't let me in right away. Instead, she sat there, primping in a compact mirror, while video chatting and giggling with her friends. I stood outside her door for a full 30 minutes, before she finally deigned to speak. Come in. As I held out my letter. She looked me up and down with disdain. Your name is Aria Lynn, right? This is a place of business, not a brothel. Who are you trying to seduce dressed like that? No wonder you have the most deals. So this is how you do it, with cheap tricks. Let me tell you something. My fiancé's company doesn't do dirty business. In my 20+ years, I had never been spoken to like that. I couldn't stop myself from retorting. Miss Gia, I'm wearing the standard company uniform, and I landed those deals with my own skills. If you continue to insult me, we can settle this in court. Stella's eyes widened in fury. She grabbed a teacup from her desk and threw its contents at me. Thankfully, I was ready for it and dodged sideways, avoiding the splash. You little tramp. You dare to dodge. Don't think you can do whatever you want around here, just because you have a pretty face. Landon and I are engaged. I am going to be Mrs. Liu, and there's nothing you can do about it. If you know what's good for you, you'll get on your knees and apologize right now. If you do, I might consider letting you stay. Otherwise, I'll make sure you can never work in this city again. She was screaming like a mad woman, her finger practically in my nose. Took a few steps back, disgusted, and tried to treat her ranting like a yapping dog. Just then Mark, my manager, rushed in. He shot me a sympathetic look before turning to Stella respectfully. Miss Sia, Mr. Hayes is on the phone. He says he has a deal he'd like to discuss with Aria. He leaned in and whispered. Miss Sia, there's something special about Arya. She's like a good luck charm. The company's success has been riding on her since the day she got here. I know you don't like her. But Stella rolled her eyes and cut him off. Are you insane, Mark? What kind of superstitious nonsense is that? I refuse to believe. This company can't function without this little tramp. She glared at me, her voice shrill. So you've even seduced the manager. You really are shameless, aren't you? You'll jump into bed with anyone who can give you an advantage. Is that it? The sheer venom was baffling. I felt a throb in my temples. I told myself a million times not to argue with an idiot. But I couldn't help it. With all due respect. If you don't have anything intelligent to say, you should probably keep your mouth shut. You start spouting filth the moment you wake up. Were you a sewer in a past life? All you talk about is seduction and vixens. Anyone would think I stole your husband. Then again, I added. If I looked like you, I'd probably feel insecure around beautiful people, too. Screw it. I was quitting anyway. Stella's face contorted with rage. So that's it, she spat. No wonder Landon is always talking about you at home. You have been shamelessly throwing yourself at him. Aha. So Landon was the one who threw me under the bus. Stella stared at me as if she wanted to tear a chunk out of my flesh. She turned to Mark. From now on, all of Arya's accounts are to be handed over to someone else. Her new job is cleaning the bathrooms. No pay until they're spotless. Mark looked horrified. Who makes their top salesperson clean toilets? It was financial suicide, Miss Sheila. Arya's clients are all long-term partners. If we suddenly switch their contact, I'm worried they'll. Stella cut him off impatiently. They're long-term clients, so they won't mind a new contact person. Just do as I say. She shot me a triumphant look, her eyes falling on the letter in my hand. A smirk played on her lips. Is that the self-criticism I asked for? I don't feel like reading it today. Go back and write 20,000 words by hand. I'll be checking it personally. This woman was certifiable. I was done. I placed the resignation letter on her desk. Sorry to disappoint you, but I don't have time for that nonsense. I quit. This is my resignation. Mark looked like he was about to have a heart attack. Arya, you can't. He pleaded, his voice cracking. You've been with us for years. Working so hard. You haven't even gotten your year-end bonus yet. Don't be impulsive, Stella teased. Picking up the letter with 2 fingers. She glanced at it and scoffed. Quitting? What kind of act is this? Who else besides Luke Corp is going to pay you $1 million salary? I think we've spoiled you. Made you think you can threaten me with leaving. For a top sales rep of my caliber. Other companies were starting their offers at $1 million/$2 million. If it wasn't for my history with Luke Corp, I would have been gone long ago. I didn't bother arguing. I will ensure a smooth handover of my work. My last day will be the 1st of next month. Stella's look was pure mockery. Fine. I'd love to see. Who'd want a piece of trash like you? Who only knows how to sleep her way to the top? Mark looked like he was about to cry. The company's golden goose was leaving. The company was doomed. He decided then and there to start looking for a new job. I walked out. As soon as I got back to my desk, a colleague leaned over. Arya. Are you okay? I heard Miss Gia yelling. She sounded vicious. I shook my head. It's fine. Let her do what she wants. I'm leaving next month anyway. A collective gasp went through the office. You're quitting? Oh, God. We're all finished. Is Miss Sia crazy? She's kicking out her own money maker. All right, everyone. You heard her. Time to polish up those resumes. Let's get out of here while we still can. The sounds of despair from the office reached Stella's ears. Her face flushed with anger. She stormed out. Who said you could gossip on company time? I'm docking everyone's pay by $1,000. If I hear it again, I'll double it. Her eyes landed on me and she gritted her teeth. Aria Lynn, get your ass over to Mr. Hayes and sign that contract. If you fail, you can forget about your commission for this month. She was clearly panicking. Mr. Hayes must have rejected her proposal to switch contacts. And insisted on me. This month. I'd closed 7 major deals. The commission alone was over $300,000. I just bought a new penthouse and my savings were a little thin. With that in mind, I grabbed my bag and headed for the restaurant. Mr. Hayes beamed when he saw me. Miss Lynn, you're finally here. I have to tell you, the day after our last meeting, my company stock jumped several points. It's a shame. You're always so busy. It's impossible to get a meeting with you. He pulled a box from his pocket and handed it to me. Inside was an X. Is it imperial green jade bracelet? Other clients gave me gifts. But this was on another level. It was far too valuable. I tried to refuse. But he feigned anger. Miss Lynn. Are you trying to disrespect me? Put like that, it would have been rude to decline. I accepted the bracelet and we signed the contract. Back at the office, I went to the finance department to file my expense report for the meal. The accountant was about to process it when Stella, like a bad omen, burst in. She snatched the receipt and her brow furrowed. What kind of meal costs over $3,000? Did you conspire with a restaurant to skim money from the company? Was she serious? It was a multi-million-dollar deal. Was I supposed to take the client to a street food stall instead of a 5-star hotel? Before I could respond, the accountant explained. Miss Shea, Mr. Lou's policy is that any deal over $500,000 can be celebrated at a 5-star restaurant. Aria hasn't broken any rules and contradicted sent Stella into a rage. Who are you to question me? I see this little tramp has bought you off, too. The accountant stared aghast. Miss Sia, how can you say that? Stella sneered, accuse you. You're not even worth the effort. You're fired. Pack your things and get out now. The office was deathly silent as the accountant, a woman who had served Lou Corp for 15 years, began to sob quietly while packing her desk. Stella stood in the center of the room like a victorious, albeit deranged, queen. Anyone else? Stella challenged, her eyes scanning the room. Anyone else want to champion this lucky charm? I didn't say a word. I simply walked to my desk, took my personal belongings, a single cactus and a framed photo of my graduation, and placed them in a small box. I didn't need a month to hand over. I had digitalized every file the night before. Where do you think you're going? Stella blocked my path, her eyes landing on the imperial green jade bracelet on my wrist. Her face contorted. That's company property. You took a client's gift. Hand it over. This was a personal gift from Mr. Hayes, Stella. Under the labor laws of this city, and the specific clauses in my contract regarding client relations tokens, this belongs to me, I said, my voice ice cold. I said, give it to me. She lunged for my arm. I stepped back, and she stumbled, nearly tripping over her own stilettos. Just then, the elevator dinged. Landon Liu, the CEO, and the man who had supposedly been throwing me under the bus at home, walked in. He looked stressed, his tie loosened. What is going on here? Landon demanded. Landon. Stella shifted instantly, her voice turning into a high-pitched whine. This girl. Aria, she's stealing from the company. She took a bribe from Mr. Hayes and then insulted me when I tried to stop her. She even tried to hit me. Landon looked at me, then at the box in my hands. His expression was unreadable. Aria, is this true? I've resigned, Landon, I said, ignoring his question. Your fiancé has decided that cleaning toilets is a better use of my time than closing $10 million deals. I disagree. My resignation is on her desk. I'll see you in court for the unpaid commissions. Landon's eyes widened. Resigned? No, wait. Aria, let's talk in my office. Stella is she's new to the corporate culture. She's passionate. Passionate about driving your company into the dirt. I smiled, a sharp, predatory thing. The accountant is gone. Mark is looking for a new job. And I I'm already hired. Goodbye, Landon. Good luck with the childhood sweetheart. You're going to need it when the Q3 reports come out. I walked past him. He reached out to grab my arm, but I dodged him with the same grace I used on Stella's teacup. As I stepped into the elevator, I heard Landon yell, "Stella, what did you do? The Hayes contract hasn't been filed yet." The doors closed. The last thing I saw was Stella's pale, panicked face. The very next morning, I walked into Hudson Corporation. The atmosphere was the polar opposite of the toxic swamp I had just left. "Miss Lynn. Welcome." The CEO of Hudson, Marcus Vane, met me in the lobby. He wasn't a childhood sweetheart type, he was a shark who knew exactly what I was worth. "Your office is on the top floor, right next to mine. We've already moved your signing bonus into your account. And that extra $50,000. I made it $100,000. Consider it a welcome home gift." "Thank you, Marcus. Let's get to work," I said. Within 48 hours, the Midas touch began to manifest. It wasn't magic, though the rumor suggested otherwise. It was my Rolodex. It was the fact that every major player in the city trusted me, not the company I worked for. On Wednesday, Mr. Hayes called. "Aria. I heard you moved. I'm pulling my contract from Lou Corporation. There's a force majeure clause I can trigger because of their leadership change. Where do I sign for Hudson?" On Thursday, the logistics giant, Sarah Jenkins, followed suit. By Friday, Hudson Corporation stock had climbed 4%. Meanwhile, Lou Corp's shares were in a freefall. A month passed. I was sitting in a high-end French restaurant, celebrating a record-breaking merger, when I saw them. Landon and Stella. They looked terrible. Landon's suit looked wrinkled, and Stella was no longer primping. She looked harried, her eyes red-rimmed. They were meeting with a mid-level investor, someone I knew to be a bottom feeder. Landon spotted me. He excused himself and practically ran to my table. "Aria. Please," he said, his voice trembling. "We need to talk." "I'm at dinner, Landon," I said, sipping my wine. Hayes pulled out. "The investors are withdrawing. The bank is calling in the loans. Stella, she tried to manage the accounts, but she deleted the client database by mistake. We've lost everything." He looked at me with desperate, pleading eyes. "Come back. I'll fire her. I'll make you VP. I'll give you shares. Just, come back and fix it." I looked past him to Stella, who was watching us with a mix of hatred and terror. "You told her I was throwing myself at you at home, Landon," I said quietly. "You used me as a shield to make your jealous girlfriend feel important. You let her humiliate me. You watched her pour coffee on my head and didn't apologize." "I was trying to keep the peace," he hissed. "No," I corrected. "You were being weak. And in business, the weak are eaten." Just then, Marcus Vane walked back to the table from the restroom. He placed a hand on my shoulder. "Everything okay here, Aria?" "Just a ghost from a past life, Marcus," I said. Marcus looked at Landon. "Ah, Lou. I hear your firm is up for liquidation next week. My team will be there to bid on your office space. We need a new storage closet for our archives." The insult was surgical. Landon's face went from pale to ash-gray. The final blow came at the annual business gala. I was the guest of honor, having been named Businesswoman of the Year. I was wearing a gown of midnight blue, the imperial jade bracelet gleaming on my wrist. I was at the height of my power. Stella, somehow, had managed to sneak in. She didn't have an invite, but she had used her old connections. She waited until I was on stage, holding the trophy, before she screamed from the back of the hall. "She's a fraud. She's a thief. She ruined Landon. She stole our clients with her body, not her brain." The room went silent. Security moved toward her, but I held up a hand. "Let her speak," I said into the microphone. My voice echoed, calm and commanding. "Stella, you claim I stole your clients. But let me ask you, if they were your clients, why didn't they stay? If Lou Corp was built on your fiancé's brilliance, why did it collapse the moment a parasite like me walked out the door?" I looked at the crowd, which included the city's most powerful billionaires. The truth is, I continued, Stella Zia thought that a title and a relationship were enough to command respect. She thought she could bully the people who did the work. She didn't realize that in this room, money doesn't talk, results do. I looked directly at her. You called me a prostitute. You called me a parasite. But tonight, I am the one holding the trophy, and you are the one being escorted out by security for trespassing. As the guards grabbed her arms, Stella began to kick and scream, her childhood sweetheart persona completely shattered. She looked like a common brawler. Landon, who was standing in a dark corner, turned his back on her, unable to face the ruin of his reputation. The following week, Hudson Corporation officially acquired the remains of Lou Corporation. I was the one who walked into the old office to oversee the transition. The place was a mess. Files were scattered, and the air felt heavy with failure. I walked up to my old desk. Someone had scratched the word Vixen into the wood. Probably Stella in her final days of madness. Mark, my old manager, was there. He had stayed until the end to help the junior staff. Aria, he said, smiling sadly. You really did it. I told you, Mark. I don't lose. I handed him a folder. You're the new head of operations for Hudson's new subsidiary. Your salary is doubled. And find that accountant Stella fired. Tell her she's the new head of finance. Mark's eyes filled with tears. And Landon? Landon is banned from the industry, I said, looking out the window at the city skyline. He's selling his penthouse to pay off his debts. Last I heard, Stella left him the moment the money ran out. She's looking for a new, childhood sweetheart to leech off of. I turned away from the window. My phone buzzed. It was a message from a foreign conglomerate. Miss Lin, we have a $30 billion project in the works. We hear you have the Midas touch. Name your price. I smiled and started typing. In the world of business, there are parasites and there are predators. But then, there are the legends, the ones who can turn lead into gold simply by knowing their own worth. I wasn't a lucky charm. I was the storm. And the storm was just getting started.